Tonight, the U.S. is set to spend $1 billion more to develop a vaccine to fight the H1N1, or swine flu virus. I'm Russ Mitchell. Also tonight, growing calls for an investigation into the CIA program former Vice President Dick Cheney kept secret from Congress. Supporters and opponents of Supreme Court nominee Sonia Sotomayor square off on the eve of her Senate confirmation hearings. And eating in. It's back to the kitchen for more and more folks as bad economic times put eating out of reach.
This is the CBS Evening News with Russ Mitchell.
And good evening. It is the middle of summer, and if you thought the H1N1 or swine flu health threat had passed, the U.S. government says get ready for what could be a busy fall. The government is spending $1 billion on a new vaccine. This after nearly 100,000 confirmed cases worldwide, 37,000 of those in the U.S., and 429 worldwide deaths, 211 in this country. Priya David now on the Obama administration's new plan to fight back.
Washington is racing to develop a vaccine to combat the H1N1 swine flu, fearing the sometimes fatal virus could sweep the nation in the coming months.
The potential for a significant outbreak in the fall is looming.
So the government is now putting big money into finding a vaccine fast.
Well, there'll be another $1 billion worth of orders placed to get the bulk ingredients for an H1N1 vaccination. Congress has agreed with the president that this is the #1 priority, keeping Americans safe and secure.
According to the Centers for Disease Control, 211 Americans have died after contracting H1N1. A CDC map shows some H1N1 activity in almost every state, with widespread illness in more than 20 states. Hawaii saw 100 new cases in just the past week. And in Colorado, the Air Force Academy says more than 80 cadets are being tested for H1N1 after coming down with flu-like symptoms. Some summer camps are closing early after 50 outbreaks among campers. In Britain, actor Rupert Grint, who plays Harry Potter's friend in the new movie, is now recovering.
Yeah, it was quite scary when they first told me I had swine flu, because obviously what's been in the press and stuff, it's sort of like, am I going to die or not? It was fine, it was honestly fine.
You just can't let your hair down with a virus like that. You gotta keep your eyes peeled. Just because it's mild now, it doesn't mean that it couldn't change and come back in another form this fall.
U.S. health officials are watching countries in the southern hemisphere where it's winter and flu season now to see what effect H1N1 might have here in the coming months. Bolivia announced its first 2 swine flu deaths today.
When exactly the flu season starts, we can't predict, but we will have a vaccination ready by mid-October.
Now, some caution rushing a vaccine to market could lead to adverse events, such as in 1976, when the last flu pandemic threatened America, but never happened. More than 40 million Americans were vaccinated then. Only 1 person died from the flu, but 25 died from the vaccination, and more than 500 developed a severe autoimmune disorder from it. Russ?
Priya, of course, we've gone over this before, but it bears repeating. How can folks tell that they have, in fact, the swine flu and not the regular flu?
Well, it's not flu season right now, but this is the strain that's out there, according to experts. So if you have flu-like symptoms, go to your doctor, get it checked out, because they say it's a good possibility you could have it. Now, bear in mind that while the official numbers are 37,000 cases, the CDC says that's underreported. Many people don't know they have it. More likely, the number of actual cases is about 1 million.
Priya David, thank you so much. There are new calls from Democrats in Washington this evening for investigations into George W. Bush-era torture and anti-terrorism policies. And the former vice president could be on the hot seat. Kimberly Dozier has more.
Former Vice President Dick Cheney ordered the CIA to keep a top-secret intelligence program secret from Congress, according to Senate Intelligence Chairwoman Dianne Feinstein. She says current CIA Director Leon Panetta informed intelligence committees about it in late June.
He was told that the vice president had ordered that the program not be briefed to the Congress. We were kept in the dark. That's something that should never, ever happen again.
To have a massive program that is concealed from the leaders in Congress is not only inappropriate, it could be illegal.
The counterterrorism program was established as the CIA ramped up its hunt for Osama bin Laden. No one has revealed details, but a U.S. official familiar with the project told CBS News it was never fully operational. The official said CIA Director Panetta canceled it when he found it hadn't been reported to Congress. His decision to kill it was not difficult or controversial, the official said. It was on again, off again. This was not a capability on which our country relied. And no one today called the program illegal. But the CIA could still face tough questioning on another front. Attorney General Eric Holder is reportedly leaning towards appointing a special prosecutor to investigate whether the CIA's questioning of terrorism suspects broke the law. That's prompting bipartisan criticism.
The military has done a series of independent reports, and I believe that that's sufficient. I don't believe a special commission is necessary.
I just don't want to see an instance where if the higher-ups gave the order to break the law, that the ones who get punished are the people basically on the front line, the lower level troops.
That's exactly what those on the front line believe will happen, according to former CIA official Michael Scheuer.
If there's a special prosecutor appointed, what would it do to intelligence gathering?
Oh, I think it'll pull everybody back from doing anything that smacks of the non-conventional.
He points out that the CIA already encourages all of its agents to take out personal liability insurance. That's to cover their legal bills in case one White House decides whatever the last one authorized is now illegal. Russ?
Kimberly Dozier at the White House. Thank you very much. The Senate Judiciary Committee opens hearings tomorrow into the Supreme Court nomination of Sonia Sotomayor. Senators will be weighing both her personal story and her judicial record, and already the battle lines are drawn. Wyatt Andrews has a preview.
Judge Sotomayor faces almost certain confirmation, so the hearings this week boil down to this. Democrats argue she's among the most qualified judges ever nominated to the court, and that the path she took from the Bronx to Princeton and Yale and then the federal bench make her the ideal nominee.
And here's, of course, a woman with a tremendous personal story. This is a remarkable judge.
But Republicans will argue the judge has explaining to do. Her comment about a wise Latina woman reaching a better conclusion than a white male has led to charges her ethnicity is more important than objectivity. Senator Jeff Sessions was on Face the Nation.
She has criticized the idea that a woman and a man would reach the same result. She expects them to reach different results. I think that's philosophically incompatible with the American system.
Republicans will also question why she saw no discrimination against the white firefighters in New Haven, a ruling that was overturned by the Supreme Court.
It seems quite plausible here she was using her own experience in a way that did not result in fair treatment for the firefighters.
But other legal experts say in the white firefighter case, Sotomayor was following civil rights laws in effect at the time, and that over her 17-year judicial career, she was a mainstream judge with no record of bias.
There are enough ideologically conservative decisions, pro-business decisions, pro-law enforcement decisions, so that you cannot pigeonhole her as someone who is always empathetic with the underdog.
Not only that, but Sotomayor's judicial record is almost void of cases that might reveal her true politics.
When it comes to abortion, when it comes to gay rights, when it comes to whether the death penalty is constitutional, when it comes to the separation of church and state, her record is beyond thin.
And so tomorrow brings an historic moment. After almost 7 weeks of hearing everyone else try to define her, Sotomayor will give her opening statement, and the first Hispanic nominee to this court will begin to define herself. Wyatt Andrews, CBS News at the Supreme Court.
For more perspective on the Sotomayor hearings, we are joined by senior political correspondent Jeff Greenfield. Jeff, as always, it's great to see you.
Good to see you.
What do you think? How much of what we're going to see this week would fall under the headline of political theater?
About 95% of it. The senators, it's a hearing in name only. Nobody hears. The senators in their speeches and their questions, which are more like speeches, aren't really talking to Sotomayor. They're talking to their base. They're talking to people in the middle politically who are saying, see what happens when you elect a liberal president. You get a nominee who practices identity politics, who's going to put her personal preferences into the law. And the Democrats are going to say you're going to get an experienced mainstream judge who will be fair and, in Obama's words, empathetic.
95%. Pretty high, pretty high.
Well, because everybody knows that, barring a revelation, this isn't a real battle. She's going to be confirmed. So the conservatives in particular are going to try to make their point about what's wrong with what they consider a liberal judge, that they don't apply the law fairly. They're more sympathetic to people from their gender or ethnic background. And the Democrats are going to say, no, this is a fair judge who's going to listen to people's real complaints.
On the other side of the table, if you're Sonia Sotomayor, what do you not want to do?
You don't want to tell anything of substance to the committee. They learned that from Judge Robert Bork 22 years ago, who got into a philosophical argument, and his opponents destroyed him for that. She's not going to tell them how they're going to vote. She's going to say that nobody's above the law, and the only cases she's going to be explicit about is like the Dred Scott decision of 150 years ago that said slavery was okay. She's going to be very careful to say the most inoffensive kinds of almost cliches that a nominee can say.
It sounds like, so when this is all over, she wants to remain a mystery to everybody.
She does. It's quite right for nominees to say, I can't tell you how I'm going to vote. The most she's going to try to do is convince them that she's not out on the edge, that she is, to use the cliche, a mainstream judge.
Jeff Greenfield, as always, thank you so much.
Okay.
And coming up on tonight's CBS Evening News, Table for None. Posh restaurants with that empty feeling as the recession drags on. And when we come back, school kids with a special talent for helping military families. The war in Afghanistan has claimed the lives of 2 more Americans. The military said today that a bomb blast in Helmand province yesterday killed 2 Marines, but gave no specifics. In the swirl of headlines about the economy, healthcare, and other news, the sacrifices made by U.S. troops and their families are often overlooked. But not by 2 young sisters who came up with an idea a few years ago that is changing hundreds of lives. Thaya Ashuris has more.
It may look like fun. She took the midnight train. But this middle school talent show had a more serious purpose. Rachel and Kelsey Oken were raising money for what was originally a family project that's grown into a nonprofit organization. Called Thanks USA, it provides scholarships for the spouses and children of military personnel.
We have the power to make a difference, and so we need to use that to the best of our abilities.
It started 3 years ago when Rachel and Kelsey turned their love of treasure hunts into a money-raising scheme. With help from family, teachers, and friends, they designed their own games largely targeted at schools. Available online and as books, there's no charge, just requests for donations. So far, individual and corporate contributions and fundraising events, boosted by word of mouth and PSAs, have raised more than $5 million. That's enough for $3,000 scholarships for some 1,700 students.
It's a rush of pride and joy, to kind of see the product of one small idea, and it's actually affected real complete strangers to us.
Army kid Kelly Cosentino was in the audience at the talent show. She's attending college with the help of her parents, a part-time job, and a scholarship made possible by 2 young girls.
It's really great to know that people care enough to dedicate an entire scholarship organization to military dependents. That kind of blew me away.
The Oken girls, who take their treasure hunt passion on the road, are getting more and more national attention.
Oh, say, can you see?
Rachel was invited to sing at Memorial Day services in the nation's capital this year. But the biggest prize, they say, is meeting scholarship winners and knowing they have changed lives.
Even if you were in, 2nd grade, you're not too small to start helping others.
They say they've learned that the most precious treasure in life,
what you give out to the world, you get back 10 times.
Can be not what you get, but what you give. Thalia Schurz, CBS News, Falls Church, Virginia.
It is a go at the Kennedy Space Center for this evening's 4th attempt to launch the shuttle Endeavour on a construction mission to the space station. And next up on tonight's CBS Evening News, should the U.S. change its immigration laws to welcome retirees with money from abroad? The immigration debate in the United States is not just about how many men and women seeking jobs to allow into the country. If supporters of a new kind of visa get their way, The U.S. soon could be welcoming retirees who don't want jobs at all, just a place to spend their money. Here's Kelly Kobiea.
A nice big dining room.
This is Michael Smith's American dream. Spacious house, heated pool. The garage alone is bigger than his home in Great Britain.
You could fit my English thing in this garage.
Smith built this house in Sebring, Florida, so he and his wife could retire in the sunshine after a lifetime frying fish and chips. Yet, to get a visa, they had to buy a business.
It's going good, but I just want to go out and spend money. I just want to go out and tour this beautiful country, travel around, see different states, and just enjoy what time I've got left on this planet, you know?
Problem is, there is no visa that lets people like the Smiths stay in the U.S., not work, and just spend.
Go figure that one. Where's the logic? You know, I'm bringing money into the country. I'm paying property taxes, and every time I buy anything, sales tax. So yeah, I'm bringing a lot of money into the country.
Tony Macaluso has been lobbying Washington for a retirement visa program, he calls it a silver card, for 10 years.
It's tree-lined streets. And
Macaluso is a real estate agent and sees foreign retirees as an economic stimulus without the price tag.
when you look at the people we bring in for political asylum, that kind of stuff, and, you know, bring me your tired and poor, I think we've done that very well as a country for many, many years. These people are not in that category.
In fact, a recent survey by an independent research institute suggests that allowing wealthy foreigners to retire in Florida could create hundreds of thousands of jobs. And yet Macaluso is finding it hard to get political support.
In the beginning, I think the resistance was just generally security and the terrorist threat. These aren't terrorists, and quite frankly, I haven't seen any terrorists that are over 55, so I don't think that's going to be a realistic concern.
Still, immigration is a sensitive word in Washington, and so far, no legislator has agreed to write a bill, let alone get it passed. For now, Mike Smith's best hope is to be saved by fish and chips. He's applied for a green card based on his extraordinary skill as a fryer.
This looks great.
If that doesn't work, they'll have to sell the dream house and find another sunny place to spend the rest of their years and their money. Kelly Kobiea, CBS News, Sebring, Florida.
At the movies this weekend, Borat star Sacha Baron Cohen's new comedy Bruno won the box office with just over $30 million. The Ice Age and Transformers sequels rounded out the top three. And just ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, goodbye restaurant, hello supermarket. What the recession is doing to dining out. And finally tonight, just like the United States, hard times in England have put many consumers on a diet with their money. Fewer people are eating out and spending less when they do. But they're not going hungry, as we hear from Sheila McVicker.
The crisp white linen, the clink of crystal. Lunchtime looks good.
We normally do about 150 covers in this.
Jamie Barber is the owner of this upmarket restaurant. It's busy, but it's not what it was.
The days maybe 2 years ago where people were spending £200-300 on a bottle of wine, those days are definitely not there at the moment.
In London, restaurants report business is down 60% from March 2008. This is Tony Mayfair, the heart of London's hedge fund industry. They say here that one hedge fund manager creates at least 2 other jobs, and many of those jobs would be in restaurants. So you can imagine what happens to the restaurants when the hedge fund managers stop going out for lunch. Researchers say even consumers who have not been personally hurt by the recession are going out less.
There's about 15 million people in the UK who have cut back their expenditure quite significantly with absolutely no reason, or no need to cut back.
I'd rather save my money at the minute. I'd rather cook at home.
With eating out increasingly off the menu, the big winners are supermarkets. Britain's 2 largest grocery giants posted pre-tax profits up more than 10% over last year. And a business that is booming, orders for groceries placed online delivered straight to your door. Jason Gissing is the chief financial officer for Ocado, founded just 7 years ago.
Going to a restaurant is discretionary largely. Having to eat is not. Everyone has to eat.
This is the largest automated retail warehouse in the world, with 10 miles of conveyor belts and 300,000 deliveries a week. Even here, consumer demand has shifted.
Discretionary purchases like fruit smoothies, as an example, have plummeted in sales. We're seeing that staple foods like rice, potatoes, bread, that type of thing, has increased.
Eating in may be the new eating out, but what's most important, grocers, restaurateurs, and researchers agree, is value for money. Sheila McVicker, CBS News, London.
And that is the CBS Evening News. Later on CBS, 60 Minutes. Thanks for joining us this Sunday evening. I'm Russ Mitchell, CBS News in New York. Katie Couric will be here tomorrow night, and I'll see you again first thing tomorrow on The Early Show. Good night.